Hi there, I'm Linda and this is Huttons Valley Permaculture. If you recall from my last video, I had a big branch from a tree just here come down over my compost bay. Now I've got it all cut up and all I need to do now is move all the branches and get my shredder going. After carving up the fallen branch, I turned the compost and just moved it into a bay to get it out the way. Now looking around this front yard, the piles of organic material are accumulating rather than getting any smaller. So I think the project for today might be to try and clear out this one compost bay, see if I can get all this material out of here and maybe repair this. But now with that branch sort of cut, I can, move this old pallet out, and I've got a couple of new ones that I might just sort of put back again. These bays are great for dumping organic materials. If I'm not doing the 18-day compost, it is a good place to kind of shove it all rather than just leaving piles like this. Now what I'm anticipating is underneath this pile of unbroken down organic material, I'm hoping, just like the bay next to it, there might be a pile of usable compost at the bottom, and I'm going to use that on one of my garden beds. The cabbage and cauliflower seedlings that are in my little snails that I made a while back are slowly getting bigger, so I've got to think about where I'm going to plant them. Now just along here is where I've usually got sort of an extended tomato bed. My tomato planting this year ended up just here. So that leaves all of this side of the trellis and also on the other side of the trellis free for my winter plantings. Now I should be able to leave some of these chicory plants to continue to flower because the bees really do love those, but some like this one here are nearly finished, so I'll be able to get rid of that. So these are kind of on the edge between my old tomato bed and what will be the new fresh winter garden bed. Now while it'd be great to get this whole section back and front done, I'm just going to restrict myself to getting this area here sorted. I think it's important not to overcommit on projects so that at least it's achievable. I've still got apples to can this afternoon, so I just want to be doing this morning so I can get on to other projects later. I'll start on this side by getting these old plants out of here. I'm going to pile some of these plants up to make a section of my compost path, but any sort of grasses like this is just going straight to the new compost. This is old Swiss chard, and I'm just piling up the material from my other garden bed. This section of compost path I haven't dug out yet, in between where my broad beans are, which are kind of just over beyond that ladder to here. So it's another bit of organic material that I can put onto a garden bed when I'm redoing it. And as usual, some of the greener pickings, I just throw to my chickens. Look at those fluffy butts. Now, to finish clearing that bed and get the compost on. Just piling up the grasses to get them up to my compost area. Now, just to move these little seedlings on. That area is clear now. I have left this one little California poppy plant. It did kind of break off. I lost the flowering part of it, but never mind. There's actually tons of these little seedlings around, so I don't think it's the end of California poppy. So now it's time to see if there's any usable compost in this bay. I'll just leave that out there for the minute. Got potatoes growing. Ooh, yes, that's what we like to see. Lots of the wiggly stuff. Look at them. All right, I think this is going to be perfect for that garden bed. Not as broken down as the last compost, but still pretty good. There's lots of big sticks and stuff in it. Sure, they're going to love their new home. All right, we've got one garden complete, and I'll deal with that and that another day. And with this garden ready, I thought I'd just grab a few of the veg that's ready before heading inside. Something that's constantly available in my garden is Swiss chard, so I usually just come out and grab that as needed. Likewise, salad greens. These are the baby Swiss chard, so they're perfect for a salad. I can usually get a few small leaves off the sorrel plants that are all around the garden. There's mustard greens I can pick, and plenty of chicory plants that are hiding in amongst the other plants. So I generally pick those just when I need them. But things like my cucumbers don't wait. They will get huge before you know it, so I need to be picking those. This is what I mean by having missed one. That's almost too big now, and there's another one hiding that's similar. Now sometimes I'll leave them just to yellow off and mature the seeds, but if they're too big and horrible, the chickens love it like that. Yeah, they're probably not going to be great eating cucumbers. But just here is one that is perfect. That'll be much nicer. Now, something you might have noticed is all of my harvest baskets have gone. Because of my mould renovation, I had to throw out most of my stuff, including my lovely harvest baskets, which went to the op shop. So for the moment, I've got this big container. Not as nice looking, but it does serve the purpose. Now, right alongside my cucumbers, I've got my chilli and capsicum plants. I've got some lovely little green chilies coming along, which I just leave on the plant. If I need a green chili, I'll grab one just as I need it, but they're lovely to leave to go red. And likewise with my capsicums. I've got lots of green capsicums coming along, but I'll only pick them if I need them because the red peppers are pretty beautiful as well. Next up, we'll check and see if we've got some zucchinis ready. Not on that one. Just on this one, it's got loads of little zucchinis. It's got 4 or 5 little zucchinis in there, and it's starting to grow off both ends. So little zucchinis like that are pretty good for the kitchen. If they get too big, they're really not as nice. So there's a few to add to the basket, and I'll just sneak in and check my other 2 plants. This one's almost getting on the too big side, so I might throw that with those other 2 cucumbers to my chickens. Now I've got lovely roasted parsnips in the freezer, so I don't need to grab out parsnips at the moment, but there's always one of those I could grab. Now my little tomato plants, because I didn't do really much preparation or any preparation in my garden, they haven't done as well as they could have. But they're giving me plenty of tomatoes to cook up and to have in salads. And I can add in a bit of basil. I've actually got lots of basil in the freezer already. Someone suggested just to put the leaves into ice cube trays and you freeze them. So I've kind of got a bit of that in my freezer now. I've got plenty of basil plants going to seed, so I don't mind chopping some plants right back. It kind of keeps the whole plant going for as long as the warm weather stays with us. Almost forgot, in amongst my zucchini plants is one of my volunteer tomatoes, and I think it's called a Beams Yellow, and it's kind of like a little pear-shaped cherry tomato. And I kind of love them because they just give a burst of colour in your salad. Now this season I didn't grow my own tomato plants from seed because I just didn't have time. So I bought a few plants. Oh, just here is the biggest rat hole. He's been coming out of there, chewing on my tomatoes and enjoying himself. But I've still got some tomatoes. I've kind of been harvesting these ones when they're just starting to ripen, just so that I'm not sharing too much. Whoop. Just threw a tomato down there. There you go. But at least they've left me with some. These tomatoes here are a black cherry type tomato. I think it's called a black crim. Oh, I just dropped one of those. And they're a nice, it's nice to have a variety of colour in your salads. Although it is a little bit harder to tell, kind of when they're fully ripe, but I think they're good to go. I've got one Roma type tomato in the garden and they're actually quite a good size, so I might make sure I save some seeds from this plant. A couple have ripened. Here we go. Not too bad. Gosh, and that's another little rat hole just in there. I might take this kind of greenish one too, just to look after it a bit. Now I think that's it for our harvest today. I've had a bit of a look at my bean plants that are starting to flower now, and you always sort of find beans unexpectedly when you kind of look down the bottom, but there's nothing there just yet, but it shouldn't be long for those at all. And I've also got my purple king beans on the other side that's reaching the top of the trellis. So I'll be having some beans soon, I think. So with that little harvest done, I'm going to head inside and get some of these apples processed. It's March the 12th today, and while it's probably getting a little bit too late to be starting seeds to get in the ground to be growing for winter, I thought I'd give it a try. I did plant some beetroot seeds out quite a while ago and nothing's come up, so I don't know whether they came up and dried out or whether the seeds were a bit dud, but I thought it'd be a good idea to get some of the seeds into some of my little snails here and just see if I can start growing them here, and then I'll transfer them to the garden and cross my fingers that they've still got growing time before it slows down for winter. Now these are the plants that I am going to add to the garden that I'm preparing at the moment. They're all going really nicely. And my latest ones are coming up as well, except I don't know about this choice some, but it doesn't really matter. Now something I've given more thought about with these little snails is just really the depth of the snail. With these ones, I made them a little bit smaller so that they could fit in under my lid here. But I'm worried that the root system won't develop as much as these beautiful little seedlings. So I've kind of made the snail a little bit larger and it still should fit in under here. And I'll just kind of see how they go. Now they're a bit sparse at the moment. I'm going to drop the seeds in and then just cover over with a little bit more of my potting mix. So today I'm planting some of my homegrown beetroot seeds, some seeds that are probably getting a bit old that I've bought, some chogia, which is the ones I think failed out in the front garden, And this is a white collie. If you recall, in this little snail over here, I'd planted some white collie seeds, but they never came up. So I'm going to give the first early a try today. And I've got the little tags that I'll pop on them. It's always best to make those ahead so you don't forget to do it or you don't muck it up. And I'm just going to get the others planted as well. So I've got the seeds covered over, watered in, and I'll just cover them over to keep the temperature and the humidity hopefully just right. I finally remembered to bring a bag out with me just to slip around one of these heads so that I can save the seeds from the birds. These little produce bags are just the thing. I'll just tie that tight and I'll come back when the seeds are ready. There's plenty more seed heads that the birds can enjoy. I've gathered up 2 more bucket loads of compost from my dilapidated compost bay. I'll leave it to the birds now. And we're going to be clearing this little garden bed here. Always on the lookout for chicken food. I'll cut this comfrey and put that aside and I'll feed that to the chickens later. And probably most of the rest of it will go into my little compost plant. And there's a bit of grass in here, so I'll definitely be digging out the roots of that. And I'll also try and get out any blackberries by the root as well. Although they do go down fairly far. I think I've broken that one off. I think I'll pile up some of this up near my compost because the compost pile material is getting a bit large. Most of the large stuff is out on this side of the garden, so all I need to do is run my little sickle over all of this small stuff and get that out. Hopefully that's disturbed enough that it won't be growing back. I've got out most of the larger California poppy plants, but there's still a few small ones in that I'll leave. Now I've just got to attack the other side. I'll leave this echinacea plant. There's a parsnip that's too small to harvest and a second echinacea which looks healthier than the other. And I'll just leave that little California poppy there. Just while it's raining, I'm undercover watching this lovely bird. It's an eastern spinebill and it just loves the grevilleas. A few more birds moved in. They love eating all the Swiss chard seeds. Now that the rain's left us again, I'm going to plant some of these sugar snap bush peas just in this section of the garden that we've just prepared today. I'll leave the other section for some of those brassica plants because they'll need a bit of space and they'll be down that end as well. But I think the peas here should go well. Now to finish up for this video, we've got the rain coming again. I thought I'd just quickly mention the compost. What I'm going to do, it's still warm. I'm just going to leave it here for it to cool down. I'm going to stop turning it because we're well past the 18 and 20 days. So I'm just going to leave it, let it settle, let it mature, and then use it on the garden when it's cooled down. It's still quite active there and warm to touch. So I'll be sure to show you when it's cooled down and we'll see what we've got. And with that, that's the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to head inside again so I don't get too wet. I'll see you in the next one.